if you could please let me know when you see my screen, and just to make sure that I'm not sharing a presenter screen as well, just let me know. What are you guys seeing, the presenter screen or the normal screen?
Presenter.
All right. How about now?
It's fine now.
Thank you. All right, cool. All right, guys, good evening. Welcome to the course Introduction to SharePoint. My name is 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓. I'll be taking this course. Unfortunately, because of some issues with the time, my colleagues are not available. They had a conflict, so I'll be taking this class alone. So hopefully you get value from it as well. Okay. So for this class, we're going to have an introduction to SharePoint. We'll talk about some of the key features. We'll go into how to create pages and add content. We'll talk about some of the tips, best practice, do's and don'ts. And then I will touch very briefly on the content of the SharePoint page or website that you're going to be creating. And I'll just show you some sample SharePoint websites and platforms. Some of the project teams here in BlueSky have created, and I'll just show you some of how to navigate through SharePoint. Okay, if you have any questions, I'm happy for you to interrupt me and ask your question. I may not see your hand if you raise it up, so you can just speak up. Or if you drop your question in the chat, I won't see it because I'm sharing my screen. But if you just unmute and ask a question, I'm happy to take the question during the session. Okay. So basically, I don't know how many of you have heard about SharePoint, but it's very popular. It's a web-based collaborative site that is owned and developed by Microsoft. Okay, it's a Microsoft product application, and it's powerful. It's a really, really good tool that a lot of organizations use to store their documents, manage and share documents within project teams or even across business units or the entire organization. It's so versatile that if a project team wants to have its own page, they can do that. If the organization wants to have a project, a SharePoint page, they can do that as well. It's also something that is used for document management. So a lot of organizations actually use that to store their documents. It's very safe, it's very secure, it's very easy to build and use, and so it's used for collaboration, but it's multifaceted, is used for a lot of different things. Chances are that whatever organization you go into, you will use SharePoint, right? I'll show you some examples of the way we use it here as well, and most likely the way you will use it when you start working. But knowledge of SharePoint is a huge advantage to anybody in technology, in the tech sector. So again, it's used as a repository. Again, I've mentioned that is used as a centralized hub. So you can manage access to content, you can manage workflows, you can communicate between different people. It's really good. I don't know how many of you remember what intranet is, which is the internet within an organization. So SharePoint has kind of taken over that. So now it's no longer called intranet anymore. It's now called SharePoint. Even people who don't use SharePoint project actually call it SharePoint. But there's a product called SharePoint, and that's what's used everywhere. Again, it's very good for integration because it's Microsoft. I mean, everything. Microsoft Office 365, Outlook, Teams, Azure DevOps, name it. It integrates very well with it, and it also integrates with a lot of third-party applications as well. So we're talking about Zoom, Trello, all of that. Like a lot of applications, they actually find it advantageous to make sure that their applications can connect with SharePoint APIs so that they can talk and collaborate, because if not, you will lose out. Most organizations use SharePoint right now. So yeah, the fact that your application can use it is actually really important. Yeah. All right. So why is it in demand? Obviously, it's a Microsoft product. That's the very, the number one, reason. Think about the whole Microsoft 365 ecosystem, not just the traditional ones like Word, Office, all of that. But now you're thinking about Dynamics that is coming up. You're thinking about the Power Platforms, all the Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, all, Copilot. Like, I mean, Microsoft they're the ones that have the office sector or professional sector. Yeah, every other person is a competitor. So obviously their product is number one and highly used and integrates with everything. And they've made it so versatile and so robust that when it comes to things like security, version control, easy access, all of that, it is massive. So most organizations use it, even if all they use it for is to store their files for projects, they use it. And many organizations use it for many, many, many other things. Yeah. It's very easy to customize. It's easy to automate. Yeah. When it comes to compliance and security, it's second to none. Like I talked about integration, it's very easy to integrate with other, very easy to integrate with other applications. It's easy to search and discover new content, and obviously content management and publishing. Most websites, when you've built it and you keep it, it's just the way it is. But with SharePoint websites, you can change it daily. It's very, very easy to change. It's very easy to edit, very easy to update, so when it comes to keeping a website current with the latest information, it's awesome. And then again, like I said, project teams can work on it there. So even if you want to share articles or tips or maybe fun, memes, whatever it is that your project team wants to do, you can do it on a SharePoint site. Okay. All right. So this is a quote: because they've made SharePoint to be a collaborative tool, it's in high demand. Yeah. So this is just a quote that says, great things in business are not done by one person. They're done by a team of people. And when you have a hub where people can use very freely, they can collaborate, they can edit, they can do all those sorts of things, it makes the work easy. Just think about your project team. A lot of times you have to create a document on your system, and then you update it and people can only read it. If anyone wants to add to that document, they have to download it, then edit it, then upload it again. It makes collaboration really difficult. With SharePoint, someone puts a document on SharePoint and I can edit it. They can edit it. Every member of the team with access can edit it. So we're actually collaborating in real time. So as people are talking, meetings are going on, someone is taking note, it's appearing on a central document. So you don't have to keep, working on your desktop, and heaven forbid if something happens to your laptop and you don't have access to it anymore, or maybe you're away on holiday and no one has access to that document. But when you have a central hub that everyone can work on the same document, it makes productivity so much more easy, obviously. So then now let's go into the key traits of SharePoint. Okay, I talked about it being a document management and collaborative site. So think about all the documents that an organization has. Yeah, I forgot to mention, it's a cloud application. It's also an on-prem application. If you want it on your premises in physical servers, you can have SharePoint there and then use that, for your organization. But most people use it online. So it's a cloud software as a service, is a cloud application. So people actually save their tons of documents on SharePoint sites on the cloud. So wherever you are, anywhere in the world, with any device, once you have access, you put in your secure password and ID, you can have access to it anywhere in the world and work on it. You don't have to be in one place. Yeah, so organizations use it for document libraries. I've talked about real-time co-authoring. So multiple users are updating one document at the same time. And then version control. So when you think about version control, think about the fact that as people are updating the document, SharePoint is storing every version of that document. So if anything happens and someone maybe accidentally deletes a portion of, a particular document, if you want to get it back, you can go back to the date, the last dates that the content you wanted to see was saved, and you can pull it up. SharePoint saves all the versions automatically. So that's why people love it, because you can't break it. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, there's a version that has been saved. And then again, it helps with transparency, because you can't edit any document blindly. There's no need to even ask, oh, who edited this? You literally go there and see the name of the person that edited it and what they edited. So you can't even hide, or you can't, it's transparent. And we obviously know that that's what one of the Scrum principles is, openness and transparency. So it's very good for that. And then it's very customizable. So it comes with either templates or it comes blank and you can customize it. But even with its templates, you can build on it. So it's very rare for SharePoint sites to be identical. They're usually very distinctive. They're usually very bespoke. So every team can literally have what they want on their site. They can move things around. They can, have the branding they want. If your organization wants a particular branding, they can do that. You can have workspaces. Even on one SharePoint site, you can have a workspace for a business unit, and only the members of that business unit will have access to it. So it's really, really very easy to customize. And then you have workflow automation, right? There's so many things that people do manually that you can do. You can automate on SharePoint. And like I said, it works great with Power Automate anyway, and all the different Power Platform apps and all of that. So any automation you create, you can actually feed it into your SharePoint site. Even Azure DevOps at the moment, people store their documents on the wiki in Azure DevOps. You can actually create a link or a space in your SharePoint for Azure DevOps or your Azure DevOps document. And when you click on it, it will take you to your Azure DevOps board, and you can work off there as well. So when it comes to workflow, automation, all of that, it's brilliant. Okay. And then I've talked about security and permissions. It's very secure. Microsoft doesn't joke with their security. That's one of the key features that they sell to organizations. So you know that unless it's hacked, what you keep there is secure. And like I said, you have role-based access. So it doesn't matter that my name is Uzo. My role is the one that has access. So if someone with my role comes, they can give me access based on my role. And if my role doesn't have the permission to view maybe a particular confidential document, even within that SharePoint, I still won't see it. Yeah, so you can secure documentation, you can secure your site. It's really, really awesome. Yeah, it's very versatile, and I've said all of this, so this is just additional information. So I just put up some examples of what SharePoint site looks like. This is a SharePoint site. It looks like a website, but it's a SharePoint site. That when you take time to customize your site, you can make it anything you want. SharePoint has made it so easy to create full-on websites on anything at all. I mean, quality professional websites. And you can do it if you've never developed anything. And those of you who are going to do the the SharePoint project, you're going to find this out in real time because you're the one who's going to develop your site. You're going to be the developer. You're going to be the QA. You're going to be the BA. You're going to be everything within that site. So you're not going to get an external developer for this. You guys are the ones that are going to do it. The SharePoint sites I'm going to show you, these are just off the internet, but I'm going to show you sites that, project teams have created, and it was done by people who've never developed anything in their lives. Yeah, because Microsoft makes it so easy to do. Okay, so these are just off the site. You can go online and search. There are loads of templates. There are sites that people have made. There are tutorials, loads and loads and loads of tutorials on YouTube. And of course, Microsoft, it's an unending, repository of information. Anything you want to know about SharePoint, go to Microsoft. There are free courses on how to use SharePoint as well. So feel free to, learn what you need to as well. Another quote. So again, technology is best when it brings people together. So again, this is the key reason for technology. It fosters connection and collaboration, and that's what SharePoint does. So departments are able to, cross-functional teams are able to work together, cross-departmental communication, all of that, sharing knowledge. Yeah, you can do it all. It's a huge knowledge sharing hub as well. So yeah, those are just some of the key aspects of SharePoint. Now, when you go to an organization, most of the time, they have SharePoint designers. They have people whose job it is to create SharePoint sites for the organization. So if your team wants a SharePoint site, you go to that team and they'll design it for you. So all you ever get is the end product. You never really get to actually get your hands dirty, right? But again, because we're doing a SharePoint project, you're going to be the one to design it. So you're going to kind of look behind the curtain and see how it's done here. So when you're talking about it as well, like I said, one of the good, I'll get to that anyway, but people are looking for those with SharePoint knowledge, okay? And like I said, I'll get to that, but so we wanted to talk to you about how to plan your SharePoint site, yeah? So again, because you've never developed anything before, you haven't really created a website before, it might be a bit difficult. But when you start by planning what you want your site to look like, then it makes it easier for you. Because if you understand the way the BAs are creating user stories and creating wireframes, and then the Scrum Masters are doing what they do, the QAs are doing what they do, all of that, it makes it easy to understand what you're building. And we're going to move that methodology, or we're going to use that same all those principles in the creation of your SharePoint site. So don't just jump in and start doing things willy-nilly. You create something that it may not be visually pleasing, and if it's not really visually pleasing, people may not want to use it. So you always start by planning what you want your site to look like. Now, for your website, for your SharePoint site, we're going to give you some of the things it has to contain, right? There's some things it has to contain. So we're going to give you all those things. But then apart from that, the ball is in your court. If you want to, add whatever bells and whistles you want to add, it's completely up to you. All we're going to do is that we're going to say your project, your SharePoint site has to have A, B, C, D, E, right? If you want it to have 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓, right up to Z, is up to you, right? So, but you guys need to agree on what you want your site to contain, in addition to what it must contain, and then you now plan. Because when you plan, you're able to navigate it easily. You're able to communicate with your BAs. Your BAs are going to write the user stories. Your Scrum Masters and ABMs are going to be the developers, because they're the ones that will have the permission to edit the site. Not just the permission, but they're the ones that will be tasked with editing the site and actually doing the development, and your QAs will be the ones to test it. So like I said, you guys are responsible for creating your own site. Okay, so you have to understand what your team's needs are, understand your user roles, because every role will have its own folder and document library, okay? And what the structure will be, right? So define what your objectives are, what your goals are, identify who the key users are and what their roles will be. And then you map out what your site is going to look like, you know, how it's going to be structured. And before you even start, you can't even develop until the BAs have written the stories for it. So the same process you follow with agile, because it's an agile project, you have to follow that with this particular project as well. The only difference is that this is your site, you're going to create it, and your QAs are going to test it, and you're going to use it for your project. Okay. All right. So page creation, I will show you actual practical examples of this, but I'll just go through what it's supposed to look like, you know, theoretically. So it's very simple. Again, SharePoint is a no code solution. So it's basically drag and drop. You don't have to know coding. You don't have to know how to write any whatever line of code, nothing. It's drag and drop. So once you understand all the different, they're called web parts. So it comes with web parts. So if you want the header, you want images, you want document libraries, they're all different web parts. You want an org chart, you know, you want to showcase your people, all of that. There are loads and loads of different web parts that come with a SharePoint site, and I'll show that to you. Okay. So firstly, you choose your page template, or you use a blank template and you develop it from scratch. You decide. You get your name and your description of what your site would look like, and then you customize it. Basically, what content do you want? What images and media do you want? What web parts? I've told you about web parts. Web parts are all the different parts of the website that you can pick and choose and move around as you like. And then you customize your layout. How do you want your page to be? And then you basically preview and publish, and yeah, that's it. When you save changes and then publish it. Okay. So some tips and best practice of developing your own site, again, because many of us haven't done it before. Okay, so have clear naming conventions. What are you going to call it? Yeah, not that you're calling something one name and someone is calling it another name, especially with the BAs. Remember your glossaries, remember your definition of done, definition of ready, all those things. Those things are things that will help you develop and use clear naming convention. So once you write it, this is the part we want. The developer will know exactly what they're doing. The QAs will know exactly what they're doing. The team will know exactly what it's doing, because remember, it's your team site. Once you're done developing it, you're going to use it for all your documentation. Leverage version control. I'm going to show you that. It's brilliant. Don't be afraid of it. Like, you can undo anything. Yeah, you can't break it. Okay, so play around with it, see how all the features work. If you do something you don't like it, you can change it. Yeah, so make sure you leverage that, especially because you're learners as well. Set proper permissions. Okay, now the way our project is most of the time, not most of the time, in most organizations, there are proper permissions. If you can even, sometimes you won't see the document. Like if I go onto my organization search engine and I put in a particular document, is the documents that I have permission to see that I will see. And if, for example, a document pops up that I don't have permission to see, and I click on it, it will just tell me you don't have permission to view this document. Like, you can't. There's nothing you're doing. So when you set proper permissions, it's very easy for people to know what to do and what not to do. Now, this may be a bit tricky, because we're going to, here in the project you're going to work on, your SharePoint site, we're going to ask you to hold yourselves back from doing certain things. Let me explain what I mean. So the role of the developer is for the SMs and ADMs, right? The BAs and the QAs, will be able to do the same things the SM does, but it's not their role. So we don't expect BAs to edit the site. We don't expect QAs to edit the site. The only role that should edit the site is the SM and the ADM. That's their role only for this project, right? The BAs will write your stories and do what they normally do. The QAs will test, do what you normally do. The only role that we have an additional responsibility in addition to your regular responsibilities are the SMs and the ADMs, whose role it will be to make the changes and edit and publish there. We just want it to be, one role's responsibility. As they say, many cooks spoil the broth. So if many people are doing it at the same time, it'll just keep changing. So the team agrees. The SMs are not doing it based on what they want to do. The team agrees. The BAs create the stories. The developers develop it and the QAs test it based on what the team agrees. So no role has the, it's not their responsibility to just decide what happens. The whole team agrees and you guys work that way. Okay. Use document libraries. So we create a lot of documents, and already people are sharing documents on Telegram. They're sharing documents in so many funny different ways. Organizations don't use Telegram. We don't use WhatsApp. We use Teams. We use secure document storage or, hubs and all of that. So SharePoint is brilliant for that, right? So again, use the document library, create folders for all the different roles. So SMs have their folder, BAs have their folder, QAs have their folder. When the QAs create their test cases, it's there. When the DAs create their visualizations, it's there. When the cybersecurity guys create, their documents, they all have their folders and they save it on there as well. And encourage collaboration. That's what it's for. So once you have done all this hard work, just make sure that you encourage your team to go on there and use it. All right. Do's and don'ts. Do organize your content. Use all the features. There are loads and loads of features. Invite people to use the site. Share the URL with them. Remember, it's a website, so it has its own unique URL. Copy the URL, share it to the members of your team. Remember, it's only members of your team that will have access to it anyway, right? Organize your content, right? Use this opportunity to learn how to organize your content. People are just saving documents, willy-nilly. Organize your documents. If there are more than one, type, folders are supposed to be dedicated to a particular type of documentation. If you need to create multiple folders, then do that, but it's not like every single document has its own folder. Like I said, BAs have their own. So all BA artifacts are there, SMs, all of that. So make sure you use the folders the right way. You can also have project folders. So things like your project charter, the things that are common to all the roles within the project are in those folders, okay? So plan it that way, okay? And I have talked about exploring. You can't break SharePoint, right? If you don't like something, you undo it, you do it again, all right? All right, so very briefly, I've mentioned this before. One of the greatest features of SharePoint is its ability to integrate seamlessly with a whole range of tools and applications, all right? So again, I've talked about this, your Teams, your OneDrive, your OneNote, your Office Suite, the whole Power Platform, Power BI, Power Automate, all of that. Your Microsoft Project, Dynamics, yeah, including other third-party apps, Google, Dropbox, all of that, Zoom. It's all you have APIs that can integrate very, very well with all these tools. Yeah, so it's really versatile that way. Okay, so some of the benefits of having SharePoint knowledge, I talked about it initially, right? When you have SharePoint on your website, on your CV, I beg your pardon, on your CV, it adds your marketability. It makes you more desirable, right? One of the things I talked about when I was I was interviewing for my role is the fact that I have SharePoint knowledge, right? And it questioned me about it. I was able to talk knowledgeably about it, and you know, obviously, I got the role. I have a friend. He's been in IT roles for almost for between 12 and 16 years. I can't say how many, but I know he's been for more than 10 years, maybe not up to 20, but for a while. He works exclusively on SharePoint projects, and he's always in demand. He has more than enough on his plate. Like he doesn't take more because he doesn't have the capacity to take more. That's literally what he does. Because remember, apart from these sorts of websites, organizations use them to store documents securely. So you have organizations that are moving from their servers, on-premise servers, onto the cloud, onto SharePoint. So there are projects where people want to move documents or applications from on-prem servers onto the cloud, onto SharePoint, right? There are a lot of other cloud solutions, but SharePoint is one of them. So it's actually, apart from it being used as an intranet for projects, remember I told you that organizations use them for documentation. So even if you understand how SharePoint works, you can leverage that to get a SharePoint project. Yeah. Because as a Scrum Master, because I understand how SharePoint works, I can, do ABCD. As a QA, I've tested the SharePoint sites before. I've worked on a SharePoint project and I can do ABCD. As a BA, I've written stories for SharePoint project before and blah, blah, blah. So when you add that to your CV, it makes you more marketable. It increases your desirability. Okay. And like I said, it's a strategic advantage. There are not a lot of people who have firsthand knowledge of SharePoint, but if you do, it makes you more marketable. Okay. I've already said that anyway. It's in high demand. SharePoint jobs are in high demand. You can Google SharePoint BA or SharePoint QA or SharePoint Scrum Master, and you see how many roles come up. And again, it helps you with diverse opportunities, automation, productivity, customization, security, project management experience. All these things will just make you more desirable in the job market. And obviously, we want to, get jobs. So in every company, in every industry uses SharePoint, right? These are just some numbers I found. If you go online, I'm sure you find a lot more. All right. And again, I talked about the demand for SharePoint roles. I just took some snippets. So this is a SharePoint BA, right? This is knowledge management, SharePoint jobs. This is SharePoint Scrum Master, QA SharePoint jobs, all of that. So if you add SharePoint in front of anything, DA, I'm so sorry for DAs and cybersecurity guys. I didn't do that search, but if you search for it, you will find it as well. And sometimes even within the job description, they have knowledge of SharePoint there. So even if it's not a SharePoint DA, if you have knowledge of SharePoint, the ATS, the applicant tracking system, will filter your CV because that's something that the recruiters are looking for. So if you put it on your CV as having that knowledge, which you'll have once you've worked on the project, then you'll be filtered and you'll be able to get some of these jobs. Okay. So before I go into the actual demo, I think, we started by 20 past. So this is 10 o'clock now. So in 20 minutes, we'll use it to go through the actual practical aspect of SharePoint. But do you guys have any questions for me?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Uzo. My question, my name is Uwe. I'm a QA. So my question is from that perspective.
Sure.
Will the SharePoint project that we'll be working on, will it be linked to any database for document storage? And what will the backend architecture look like?
Okay, so your SharePoint site will be linked to BlueSky because BlueSky is an organization, or should I say read icons because you're in the advanced team. So it's an organization. So within that the organization, we have access to, we have a SharePoint environment, right? You'll be granted access to your own channel, which will have a SharePoint site created for it. I'll show you what that would look like. So that's the site you're going to work on and all of that. Now for the back end, you're not going to have access to the back end per se. Again, remember, SharePoint is very, very easy to configure. So Microsoft has done all the things in the back end. They don't want you to have to look at all that technical issue. They want you to just, be able to design what the users see, design how you use the actual site, which is why they have web parts. So rather than you creating your own header or going to go and design your whatever, you can literally say, I want a header that looks, that is straight across, or maybe one that is diagonal, or maybe one that is vertical. Whatever it is, you pick a web part and you design it. And because it comes designed like that, you just pick what it looks like, the appearance. You're not doing anything in the back end per se. So you're just literally picking the web parts that is part of your website. That's what your designers are going to do. Once your team agrees on what you want the website to look like, the BAs will write the stories. The SMs in the role of developer, so SM and developer, they will create the site, and you as a QA will test it the way you normally do. So you have your user story, you have your acceptance criteria, you make sure that what has been developed, or what you can see is what the story provides for. Yeah, so you don't need to go into the back end per se. Microsoft has handled all of that. You're within the organization of BlueSky, and let me just read icons. And so all the security allowances and all of that have already been made on an organizational level. So you don't really need to do anything there. Just like your Azure DevOps board, right? You create your stories, you do the work you need to do, you move it up and down. So that's basically what it is. You don't need to kind of look behind. But because you guys are going to be the ones designing the site, you're going to see how it's being designed. Normally, you won't have that knowledge. But because it's a SharePoint project, you as a QA can say, I've worked on a SharePoint project, because you're going to test it. You're going to make sure it's properly tested. If there are any bugs, if it doesn't align with the story, you're going to just do what you know how to do. Yeah. So I hope that helps. That answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Like I said, I'll show you what it looks like, so you have an idea of what it will look like, and we'll have a user guide, a user manual. So even with all the things I talk about in the video, this is one where we actually prepared a user guide for you. But to be honest with you, anything you want, like any Microsoft product, you literally go to Microsoft, and there are 1,000 and 1,000,001 people to tell you how to do what you need to do. How do I do this? Type it online. Microsoft communities have loads of it. People online have, it's a very, very popular tool. So you're never going to be lost or on your own or anything. You're definitely going to have, again, you're going to have more than enough resources to do what you need to do. But when you go to any organization, you're just going to be dealing with it as a member of the organization. But because of this project, you can go in with knowledge that I worked as a QA on a SharePoint project, and you can talk through what you've done. Yeah. And obviously boost your CV and your experience, leverage on that. Cool. So any other questions for me?
Not a question, just an addition, just to simplify and add to exactly what you said.
Sure.
For it stores straight in Microsoft Cloud. Just like she said, you don't need to worry about that end. As long as it depends on your subscription for whatever you're doing. As long as it's a paid subscription and everything, you don't need to worry about it. And even if it is not a paid subscription for whatever you're using for your SharePoint or anything, then though you have limited access, everything stores in Microsoft Cloud. So I just wanted to add that to it. But you don't need to worry about that backend. And that was a very good example to Uzo of whether you use Azure, for example. Do you care about where the information stores? It's stored somewhere in the cloud, but you don't need to worry about that. Yeah, you can link anything, just the list of what you send. OneDrive, you can link it to it. I talking about SharePoint, sometimes I be told myself not to join the session and say something because it does everything for you. It's like a
It's
cheat
so
sheet
good.
to everything you do.
Yeah.
So yeah, but just wanted to just be direct and just let you know everything is in the cloud. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? All right. If there are no questions, let me share my screen and share some sites. Thank you. So this is a team site, and this is the SharePoint page for our site. There are different ways you can open it. You can open it this way, but remember it's a web page. So if you want to see it in a full page, you can just open it in browser or open a full tab and you can see everything in its entirety. So this is a page that was designed for, all the different squads in RIT icons, all the key stakeholders, squad leaders. It actually needs to be updated because now we have a squad E, squad membership, advanced A. These are all the projects in advanced A. If you click through here, you can go through each one. Yeah. These are all the sites in advanced B. Again, you click through, you can go through each one. Advanced C, same thing. Communities, all our communities, all our roles have communities. So the BAs have their community, SMs have their community, all of that. I'll show you the cybersecurity page as well. All of that. There are loads of different communities. So if I'm an SIBA, I want to go to the BA community channel, I can click here and it'll take me there because I have access. So these are just some of the features that are on this page. Again, designed by people that have never designed anything, affected by people that have never done anything. So you have your documents repository. You click here and you find the documents, career development resources, all of that, interview prep guides, certification pathways. This is to the ADO board, Azure DevOps board. You click on it and you get their homepage for the website, DA jobs, BA jobs, all of that, upcoming events, all of that. So basically, these are links to different sites, FAQs, upcoming events, message from the SharePoint team. There's a team that handles SharePoint because again, every project, so all these different projects I told you in Project Advanced ABC, they all have their own channels. The community have their own channel. This is just a general channel for everybody. So there's a SharePoint team that is dedicated. If you have issues with your SharePoint page, you can reach out to the team, let someone know, drop a comment, all of that. So this is just a site that has been created for the team. All right. Let me show you one more, and then I'll go into how to actually navigate through a SharePoint site. So I've talked about communities. Let me go to the cybersecurity community page. Where's the channel? It's supposed to be here somewhere. Cybersecurity. What happened? Where is this? I actually saw this. Oh no, sorry. So this is theirs. Sorry, my bad. All right. So this is their channel, and then this is their SharePoint page. Their community is called Cyber Icons. Like I said, you can look at it this way, but it's not as good. It's usually better when you open it on a proper browser. So this is what the cybersecurity community page have done with theirs. Again, it's completely customizable. You can do what you want. So they have Meet Our Team. These are all the people there, all of that. Their resource center, learning center, all of that, SOC pathway training workshops, videos. They have videos. This is linked to YouTube. So they have a YouTube channel on here. There's Saturday calls. You don't have to look for the link. You literally come to your page and click on here on Saturday and go to your calls. This is for onboarding new members, all the, information they need. This is the Azure board, resource center, all of that. So basically, these are all the different, obviously very, very information. They're very, very information focused. So they have loads of tips and trick and all of that for 2025. So this is their page. Again, updated regularly, designed the way they want. You can literally make your page anything you want it to look like. I'll only stop here, but all these channels have their own page that the team, what we're asking you to do, Team Advanced E, we've all done it. So everyone here has their own page and they maintain it regularly. So let me go to just a page for one of our previous teams. I'll just show you how to navigate it, but obviously we'll talk about this in detail, right? So let me go again to a full page so you can see all the features, right? So obviously this is a test page. This is how it looks like once you open it. Now for best practice, like I told you, right? We all have the same permission. So if you notice, even in cybersecurity, all those pages, I'm not in cybersecurity, but I could have clicked on the edit button, but I won't. I'm not supposed to. The only role that should use the edit button is the cybersecurity and the ADMs, whose responsibility is to develop. But this is what it looks like, basically. Your page details, you click on this, you can see all the page details, the properties of the page, when it was modified, version history, like I said. If you click on that, you will see everything that has been done, when, by whom, right? If you make a change, you can see the preview of what it's supposed to look like before you publish it, right? And you can X out of that. How do I X out of this now? I don't X out of the full. Oh, fantastic. Oh no, it took me here. All right, cool. Let me open this again. Okay, and then obviously page analytics, it is what it is. So this is, again, this is a dummy page, right? So as you can see, this isn't real text. So you can see the last published dates, right? You can share the link, click here. You can share the page with your team members or copy the link. It doesn't matter how you do this, only those that are authorized. So I can share this with someone outside with icons. They'll click on it, it won't open for them because they don't have access to it. It comes with the page, right? Now, if I click on this, then I'm able to edit. So it's saying prepare to edit, right? And when you see republish here, you know that you're in editing mode, right? Now, because it is a page that anybody can work on, once it's in this mode, it is locked, right? Once you publish your page, people can interact on the page. But once it's time to edit it, only one person can edit a SharePoint site at a time. So if you ever click on edit, please and please and please, either you discard changes here on this side, either you save and close, you discard changes, or you republish. Because if you leave this page and you go away, nobody will be able to come onto this page again. You need the admin to go and release it. Once it's locked, it's locked. And you could tell that it's locked because it will say, 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐂𝐓 has this page open and she's editing it. So you will even know the person editing it. It will tell you, like I said, it's very open. But please, if you're editing it, always, once you click on it, whether you want to view it or not, once you click on that edit button, there are only 3 ways to get out of it. Save and close, discard your changes, or publish the changes you've made, right? Don't leave without doing any of these things, because if not, your team members will not be able to get into your page. You would have locked it for everybody. So please pay attention to that, okay? So now these are the web parts I'm telling you about, right? Once you open it, again, you can have a template and edit that template. We'll talk about it more on Saturday. Or you can have a blank page, and you can now put in the web parts, right? So look at what I was talking about with web parts, right? Let me click here so you can see all the web parts. So these are some of the frequently used ones. You have text. If you click on this web part, let me click on it. It will basically I'll go into that later. Sorry. So it will open all the features of that web part. You can edit headings, bold, all the formatting, buttons, all of that. Images, web links, all of these things. So these are loads and loads of different web parts. You have them categorized into text, media, and content. So if you want your banner, you want your buttons, call to action, you want your dividers, images, image gallery, links, quick links, spacer, it's just. This is Microsoft's video playing application. So this is their stream, right? But they still they know YouTube is very popular, so they put YouTube there as well. Then for your document lists and libraries, you have your document libraries, all of that. You have your feeds for conversation, you have your news, org chats, organizational charts, people planner, news, all of that. Data analysts or data analysis, you have your forms, Power BI charts. So you have your what do they call it? Weather, wall clock, dashboard. You can even add Kindle, all of that. There are loads and loads and loads of different web parts you can use, right? So basically, once you start editing, you see all these buttons, all these plus signs. Once you scroll, you hover over it, you'll be able to see what that functionality is. So for example, this is a full width section. If I want to change it, I click on it and I'm like, okay, I want to change it into something else. It shows me this toolbar and I can change it because this obviously has an image and a title. Maybe I don't want an image and a title. Maybe I want something plain and then it's automatically plain, right? Or maybe I want something different. I want to see the author. Yeah, it will show me whatever format you pick, overlap, it gives it to you. You can either bin it, so delete that web part, right? And if I delete it, and because obviously this is the header, yeah, you can only use a banner on this top bit here. So it tells you, because this is the top of the website, right? That's how most websites are. You have to have some sort of banner. I click on it again, and it obviously creates something again for me, and I have to pick, right, on something to use. And then if, for example, I don't want to use any of these things, Control Z works great, right? I can Control Z until where I was, or I can discard my changes and I won't have affected anything at all, right? So this is your header. Then when you come to this bit again, you can decide, do you want a section that is divided into two, or do you want a section that is, is full, like full width? And when you click on this, it will tell you add section. What section do you want? Do you want one that is flexible? Do you want one that's only for one column? Do you want one that is only for 2 columns? All of that. So you can pick and choose exactly how you want your website to look like. You can see a website online and replicate it here, right? So here you wanted an image. I put an image. Maybe I don't want an image. I click on it and I see an image toolbar here. Every web part has its own toolbar for you to either, maybe I want to change the image. I don't like the image. I want to change the image. I want to align it maybe to the left or to the right or to the center. So all these tools, again, they're all here for this particular web part. You can move it as well. Let's say you want to move it somewhere else. You click on it and it is so easy to use, right? I want to change the color of this particular text, because this is a text feature. So once you click on it, you see the toolbar for the web parts. It says this is heading 2. Maybe I want it to be heading 4, and I click on it and it reduces it for me. Okay, this is normal. It's reduced it for me. As you can see, it's changing. I want it to be reduced, the size. It is reduced the size. It's literally whatever you want it to be. I put the text here. Maybe I don't want the text. You can tell the web part by the web part. Once you click on it, it will tell you this is a text web part, right? Again, this has already been designed, so, and we don't have time. I would have done it from scratch, but yeah, we don't have time. But it's very, very easy to use. Let's say I want to add another web part between this one and this one, and I hover here, and I have the option to add a new web part here, right? So nothing is ever final. You can make a change and you guys say, okay, we prefer it a different way, or maybe every month you want to refresh your website and change the color, all of that. This is a section, this is the world clock section. So I want to know the world clock in London, the one in Lagos, the one in New York. You can click on it and it can give you the option to edit the properties. Once you see this, it's editing the properties of this. So maybe I want a wall clock in another city. I can pick and choose. I want how the format would look like. Everything is customizable. There's nothing here that is final. This is the section for your team members. You can have their images and maybe someone clicks on it and they can find, it can be connected to the person's YouTube page. So maybe I want to know about Tona's, more about Tona. I click on it. I can make this, I can add a link. So anyone that clicks on it can be taken out of SharePoint into her YouTube page and all of that. So there's so many different things you can add here. Remember, we told you that we're going to have some specific requirements for you, and one of them is project documentation. So every role has to have their own folder. So this is an example. You can make it vertical, you can make it horizontal, you can arrange it the way you want. It's up to you, but it just has to have these features. So that way the BAs can click on this and they can save, it can take them to their folder, and you can save the documents there as well, right? So all these are just so many different things you can do here. I could go on and on and on. I'm just very conscious of time. Then the final thing I want to show you, I don't want to keep any of these changes here. So I'm going to make sure that I discard my changes so that way it can be unlocked. So it says you want to go back to the previous version. Yes, I'm happy to do that, right? It will always ask you, okay? So yeah, I will click out of this, right? So let me show you what the file version control is like. Because once you get on here, then you start obviously using all the different features here as well, right? So this has documents, this has files, they'll probably take you to the same place, right? So if you come on here, like I told you, it's very open. It tells you who has done what. You can tell who has saved what, all of that, right? So this is a particular document. Let's do the word document. Again, remember, SharePoint is a document repository. That's actually the main reason people pay big money for SharePoint. They use it for documents. So when you go onto your organizations, even here, we use it here as well. So every team has their own project folder, right? So if let me go on to this particular one, right? I want to be familiar with. Okay, so this is an example of what it could look like, right? So this is a site. You can tell who has done what just 2 hours ago, all of that. Now, when you click on these three buttons, right? Right click on it, a whole lot of options come out, right? You can manage access, give access to someone, share the link, download, all of that. Now, when you open this document in SharePoint, this is Teams, remember, right? But Teams is so integrated with SharePoint that these documents are also saved in SharePoint. So I can either open it in Teams or I can open it in SharePoint. I'm praying it will let me do it. It won't let me. Once it takes me out of this, it won't let me do it. Sorry about that. Gosh, it won't let me do it. But basically, once you open it in SharePoint, let me see. I want to see if it'll open it here. Right, okay. Yes, so this is another way to get here, right? If it had allowed me open it in SharePoint, this is it opening in SharePoint. Let me not. So this is, I couldn't do it that way, but I could do it this way. So once you do it here, you see this button called version history. This is a new document. It might not be the best one to do it with. Let me look for an older document. Just 1 minute, please. Let me look for an older document. Okay, all right, let me open this. Okay, so this document is 2024, last year. So I click on version history, right? It isn't that much anyway, but you can see the history of this document in a lot of places that where a lot of collaboration has been done on one particular document. It could go on and on and on and on and on. So if someone deletes something there and I want to call it back, I can pick any of these other versions and it will open that version for me and I can call back the document. So nothing is ever lost. That's the long and short of all of this. Please play with SharePoint, you know, feel free to explore, do what you need to do, but remember to stick with the do's and don'ts, right? Just for your project team, right? In organizations, they won't even let you do a lot of things, but because we want you to learn, you have a lot more permission. You can edit, you can do a lot of those things. So you now have to be the ones to make sure that you keep to the do's and don'ts, right, of your project team, your project charter. You're going to have a new project charter. Obviously, it's a project, new project. So you have a new project charter and all of that. So just make sure that you make it easy for everyone to collaborate, right? And so now this is an example of a document, right? So I can edit here. I don't have to download this document. It's already open in SharePoint, right? I can edit something here. Let me remove plan and put plan again because I don't want to change this much, right? So I can edit it here as well. And it has obviously updated the, has it? It hasn't. Okay. Will it? Let me see if it will save. Okay. Word for web. So this is a web document, obviously. It saves as you go. Will it show me? Okay, fantastic. So right now, it's brought up, and you remember there were 3 before. This is now, because I made a change, it saved it here. So obviously there's something new that has happened here. But then Allow Me can come on here now, and I'm editing the document. She's editing the document again. I'll see that Allow Me is here. And then Ezekiel can come on, and Abiola can come on, and multiple people can come on this same document right here on the web, and we're editing it together, right? So that's the beauty of saving a document in SharePoint, right? And all your project documents are most likely going to be in SharePoint as well, right? So yeah, I know our time is fast spent, so I'll stop sharing now, but that was just a little glimpse into SharePoint. And obviously, like I said, for those that are going to work on it, we have another meeting on Saturday. So I'll share the user guide with you, and I'll share with you your mandate, because you're going to have a project mandate. I'll share what your project mandate is, and it'll contain the things that have to be in your SharePoint, project SharePoint site. And then you guys can take it from there. You have 1 month. The project duration is 1 month. You're going to use it on Azure board as well, the same way you've done everything else. So yeah, that's a very quick look into SharePoint. I'll probably, if you want, I can do a bit of a demo on Saturday as well. So are there any other questions before we go for tonight? Thank you for your patience. You guys have been very patient. Yeah. Anything? Okay. All right. If there are no questions, that's me done. Thank you very much. Thank you.